Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Passionately Speaking, our weekly public speaking training call. And today we are going to do a little discovery. Yes, we are. We are going to discover dynamic delivery. Discover dynamic delivery. And dynamic delivery means like how to make your message feel and sound alive, as opposed to just delivering it kind of flat or just kind of monotone or just kind of everyday life. This is how to bring that message alive. And a lot of the great dynamic speakers know exactly how to do this. And I'm going to teach you how to do it today. So, it's not about memorizing words, it's about feeling those words, right? We talk about knowing your topic, knowing your story so much inside and out that it is, in a way, automatic, but it's so automatic that you've pushed through to the other side and it comes alive. If you ever feel like your stories or your content is kind of dry and kind of mundane and kind of like if you're bored, your audience is going to be bored. It just means rehearse even more. You got to push through to the other side so that your mind is free of having to think about it. And instead, it just does it. And yes, you'll find it's pretty close to the script, but it's so automatic that it becomes alive again. So push through that. Great speakers know how to do this. As I said, they know how to turn content into a performance. And even though we're speaking and we're teaching or we're giving a sermon, it's a performance. Don't ever forget that. You are performing as a speaker, just like a poet performs or a singer performs or a clown performs for whatever reason. You are in it and you're 100% performing your content because you, again, want your audience to get something. We're going to talk more about that. So, number one, find the emotion. Write this down. Find the emotion behind your message, right? What is it that you're really trying to tell them with your content? You're teaching them about health, like what Jackie does. You're teaching them, about marriages and about love. What is really behind it? What emotion is behind it? Is it love behind it? Is it love for them? Is it love for the topic? Is it love for the message? Is it love for God? Is it love? What is the emotion? Each time find the emotion, and maybe in some case it's a negative emotion, and it's not throughout your whole speech obviously, but whatever it is, you've got to get in touch with that emotion. A lot of times we see speakers, they're maybe angry but they got a smile on their face, or they're smiling and they're angry. Their face isn't congruent with what they're saying. That's what we're talking about here. Everything, when you're performing, everything has to perform. Your face, your words, they all have to go together. Hi, Dawn. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Okay. So number one is find the emotion behind the message. Find the emotion behind the message. What is it? And you can do this by asking yourself, what do you want the audience to feel? It's not, yeah, you can find the emotion for yourself. I'm angry, I'm mad, but what is it that you want your audience to feel? Right? And usually we don't, as speakers, want them to feel negative, but instead we want them to feel what? We want them to feel hope. We want them to feel love. We might want them to feel a little sad. We want them to feel touched because that emotion, whatever it is for them, will propel them to go to the next step with you, to speak to you, to make a change in their own life. And that's what we want to do, right? And where is it in your speech? Where should they be inspired? Where should they be shocked? Shock is an emotion. And I know some speakers come out and they do the shock factor using bad words. Tony Robbins is famous for that. I love Tony Robbins, but that's his technique. It works for him. He's, 6'8" or something, almost 7 feet tall or 8 feet tall. It works for him. May not work the same for any of us. But look for that shock factor. Look for that motivation factor. What is it you're motivating them to do? Do you want them to come and talk to you at the end? Do you want them to stop, eating canned foods and eat real live food? What is it? You have to make a conscious choice. Sometimes we just go through our speech and we just rehearse it and say it, but we don't really think about what's behind that message and what is it that we really trying to do. And we might say overall, oh yeah, I want them to be inspired. But where? Where are you inspiring them? Right? And what are you inspiring them to do? So, a little more now. This is advanced speaking techniques. So, we need to get behind the words now. Okay, number two. And I've talked a lot about this in the past, but it goes for being a dynamic speaker, and that is vocal variety. Vocal variety. Every speech, you've got to take a look at that. And you might record yourself if you're comfortable doing that. I don't always recommend it because new speakers, especially because they don't like their voice and then they get hung up on their voice and they start tripping on their voice. And that's not what this exercise is about. This exercise is about vocal variety. Vocal variety, that's volume, right? So you get quiet where you need to get quiet, but don't get so quiet that the audience can't hear you. That's the mistake that some speakers make, and great speakers don't make that mistake because they know how to sound quiet without being quiet. So make sure that the volume goes up. When you get excited, the volume goes up. It goes up naturally when we talk to people in real life. But for some reason, people get their speaker hat on and that all is gone. So sometimes we have to bring it back intentionally so that we have it there. So just be aware of that volume and the pace. Is it going the right pace? Is it going the right pace? Are you speeding up when you need to speed up and slow down when you need to slow down? Now, one thing that kind of gives me the giggles today is some young people talk really fast. I mean, really fast. And they're in the service because that's the way I'm not service. I mean, like service area. Maybe they're on the phone or maybe they're, but whatever. Maybe they're behind a desk. Maybe they're at the bank. But some of them talk so fast, I have to tell them, honey, please slow down. My brain isn't moving that fast. I don't know. Has anybody else experienced this? I mean, it's crazy how fast they can talk. I mean, remember years ago, there was, for us, there was a commercial on with that really fast talker, right? He or she was famous. See how fast they could talk? That's how it's going now. And I just have to say, please slow down. I'm not getting it. Make sure that that's not happening to you in your speech, that you're not talking so fast that your audience can't catch up. But at the same time, you don't want to be so slow that they're falling asleep in their chair either. So pace is important and it's something you need to practice. And I've already demonstrated it here tonight talking on this call. Right. Now we got pitch, which is higher and lower tones, right? How high can you do, right? And then how low can you go? Practice that range so that you don't sound monotone. And there's more appropriate sounds for the lower tone when you're talking and some for the higher tone. As women speakers, we have to be careful not to get too high when we get excited and we're talking about something because that could hurt somebody's ears. And then they're going to check out and not listen. Pauses are really important. And we've talked about this in the past, the pregnant pause, which is a very purposeful pause. But pause can help you with the pacing. And pause is, simply just silence. We want to make sure that we're doing silence at the end of our sentences. Sometimes one sentence will run into another sentence. We want to make sure that we punctuate during our speech. And I don't mean to make it sound so deliberate, period, that you're, that you're dropping our words at the end of our sentence. But do remember to breathe in between and the breathing often will create the pause that you need, unless it's a pause. I'm going to talk more about pauses in a second. Number three, intentional pauses. Intentional. So the pregnant pause, we talked about that. You know, we have to pause after sentence, but sometimes it really needs to be intentional. So when would you be intentional? Now, the great speakers know how to make it intentional. It creates drama, right? You know, and so you could pause when, like, you have a real important sentence and you want to make sure that it sinks in. So you're saying something and then you just pause and let them be in the moment. There's a story that I tell oftentimes about the three gods and how they were looking for they wanted to destroy knowledge. Remember that story, anybody? Okay, well, I'll tell it real fast so I can demonstrate what I mean by the pause. And this is what you want to do. And a lot of people, they're too fast after their own story where you want it to sink in. So there were three gods, and these three gods were mad at man. They were so angry at man because man took knowledge and they used it to destroy other men, used it to destroy the world, and used it to destroy everything in it and on it. So they used it to create atom bombs. They used it to create all kinds of destructive, things, equipment. And so the first God said, I know, let's take knowledge and let's hide it in the deepest ocean. Let's just bury it in the deepest part of the sea. Surely man will never find it there. And the other two gods shook their head and they said, no, they'll just create a machine that'll go down to the depths of the sea and find it. So the second god said, I know. Let's let's put it on top of the highest hill, the highest mountain. Surely man will never find it there. Other two gods shook their head and they just said, no, they will build a stairway, a bridge, a ladder as high as they can until they reach it and they'll find it. The third god said, I know, let's hide it here, for surely man will never look there. Right? So that's the intentional pause. Let them feel it. It doesn't have to be long, like an uncomfortable minute, but just long enough till they get it. So think about where you can put that when you share your stories. Not only your personal story, but when you share stories within testimonials or other stories as examples or metaphors within your speech. Because many of you have a lot of those type stories, like Katrina, for one. She has lots of them with her clients and things like that are very emotional. So use them, but make sure you have intentional pauses, right? The pause helps the clients, or excuse me, your audience, not only to feel at a different level, but it like gives them permission to feel and the time at which to feel and go, got it. But if you're so fast, then there's no time for them to think, much less feel. So the pause helps them to think and then, of course, bring that thinking down to the heart and even into the soul, depending on, your topic. All right. Number 4, use powerful movement, not just moving, but powerful movement. A lot of times we get stuck behind a lectern or behind a table or just because where the audience is, we don't have much time to you know places to move and we kind of feel stuck. So we need to create movement, even if it's just in one place, because real good speakers, dynamic speakers, powerful speakers very rarely look frozen. right? You look at some of the great ones like Les Brown and Tony Robbins, and they're like, bigger than life, not only vocally and doing everything we just talked about, but physically. They take up stage room and you want to take up as much stage room. That does not mean, ladies and gentlemen, running back and forth. That just means you being bigger on stage, you stepping bigger. Your legs are maybe wider, your arms are outstretched further. You're taking up more room, more space. So make sure that you do that. So do some things like, you might step forward sometimes if you're kind of like stuck in a square box a little bit. Step forward. Never be behind the lectern anyway. Never be behind the lectern. But I've had to be close to the lectern because that's the microphone. It was a goose head and it didn't come off. So there's going to be times where you're going to be stuck. I've been stuck, in between a couple of tables because the waiter was coming back and forth delivering food. So there's going to be times, but that doesn't mean you have to belittle. It doesn't mean you have to shrink up, right? You want to still be bright and be as big as the air around you will let you be. Use open hand gestures, shift a little bit if you have to, shift your body if that's all you can do. But movement should always match the meaning of what you're going to say. I'm not saying just move to move for moving's sake. It's got to be congruent with your message, what you're saying and what you're demonstrating and what you're doing. It's not random pacing. It's not like, okay, I'm going to move over here. Boo. Okay, I'm going to move over here. Boo. It's not like that. It is natural. Might be planned, but you have to practice so much that it is so natural that you are doing it automatically. Number five, and again, my favorite stories, stories. And these can be like, they could be small stories, mini stories, tiny stories, part of stories. They don't have to be, when I say story, some big drawn out 5 minute thing. It can be a minute story. It could be the testimonials. It could be examples. It can be metaphors, all that fun stuff. But stories automatically create that kind of dynamic delivery that you want. Why? Because oftentimes they include characters, and you always want to develop the characters, embellish the characters, give the characters names, give them life, give them hair color, give them eye color. The more you can describe them, the more your audience can see them. And that's when the magic happens. And we've seen it in ourselves. We've got a great speaker that's telling a great story and giving us some pictures, word pictures. Then we could picture that. It's like a little video running in our head, and we could see the whole thing. We could see the villain. We can see the heroine. We could see all of that, and that's when we can escape life in a way. That's when we can go inside of our mind, inside of our imagination, in the dream world, in the fun world, right? And just escape the world for a few seconds or a few minutes. And that's what audiences enjoy. Just like reading a great book and you have all that imagery in the book. A great novelist are ones that can describe enough that you can see, but not so much that you can't use your imagination because you want to use some of your imagination. All right. So it includes characters, it includes oftentimes a heroine, it includes a villain, it includes maybe some tension, there's an antagonist, and then of course there's resolution. Always, we want to end it with a resolution. You never want to end without it. Now, there's a technique in NLP. I've taken NLP. I've never really practiced it or used it because I didn't quite think I liked it. But some do. Some are quite good at it. And the first time I heard my NLP teacher, he told stories. He told three stories, right? And then they don't tell you the resolution. They don't tell you the ending. And of course, I'm like such a story buff. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? Right. And he like didn't say anything. Then at the very end of his speech, he tells the end of the stories. It's called something. I don't remember what exactly it's called. Anybody listening can probably tell me what it's called. Um, but that's a technique. I don't use it. I didn't like it. It drove me nuts. Okay. But again, it's a psychological kind of technique that you might hear of some speakers do. But most of the time, we have resolution at the end of our story. All right. Now, number six. Oops. Number six. Hold on. Hi there, Katrina. How are you? Yay, we get to see you today. Yeah. Okay. Number six. Now, this might be a technique for you to use because we are talking about the voice. We're talking about the dynamic voice, and that is record yourself. Yes, some people don't like it, as I mentioned a minute or so ago, but get over that because it can help you not only with your pacing, but it can help you with the storytelling. It can help you with the pauses. It can help you to listen and go, okay, am I am I creating that same imagery in myself that I want my audience to have? Am I creating the suspense or the tension? Or do I have the shock factor, the inspiration factor, the motivation? Am I really doing it? Again, this is next level speaking for all of you, and you're all ready for it. And let's take that speech instead of just memorizing. Let's now add some of these techniques. Now, I want you to look for when now it's better if you video, you can, record it obviously on your phone, but it's always better next time. I'd like once to record just to get the voice stuff and then start looking at it, do a video and look at how you're moving and how are you moving in the space? How are you taking up space? Right? Listen for your voice. Is it monotone? Are you rushing something? Are you talking too fast so that they can't hear it? Do you have vocal variety? Do you have pauses in it? And where are they? And it doesn't mean you have to pause after every sentence and be like ridiculous that way. That would be too choppy. But it does mean to have some where it's important. And then look at your body language. Is it stiff? Is it flowing? How is it looking? Right? I've been working with a guy over the last few weeks that's in Toastmasters and getting him ready to win the contest. And and he did just win his area contest, thank goodness. But he's developed some habits in his speaking that that I am trying to help him break. And that is the same thing where he's kind of standing there and then you could see him thinking, oh, I got to move over here. And then, move over here. And then a lot of times when he talks, he'll just be like, looks he's Japanese, so it looks like he's closing his eyes. I've asked him to keep his eyes open, but he's like, they are open, they just look closed. But he like gets into this mode where he's like, mm, mm, right? So it's harder to break when you do something a long time. So look at yourself now. Make sure that you don't have some, interesting habit. I'm sure we all do. I probably have one too. But if you can, not saying get rid of it, but just make sure you're not doing that one thing all the time. A lot of times, people will hold their hands here, right? Or they do something like that. So just make sure you're not doing something that's distracting to your audience. Number seven, watch other speakers. Watch other speakers. I mentioned this before. Study other speakers. And when I say study other speakers, I'm talking about professional, well-trained speakers. I'm not talking about someone who's at the same level as you are, or someone who's trying to figure it out, or someone new, because You will become a speaker snob because you probably know a lot more than the average speaker, and especially the business speaker. You know a lot more because they're not coming to classes like this. You are. So you know a lot more than they do already. So, but look at the greats, the Les Browns and the Tony Robbins and maybe some pastors in your church that have been uh, uh, pastoring for a long time or whatever it is, somebody you love and respect. Look at them and look at how they handle themselves. Look at how they open. Look at how they transition. Look at how they handle the audience. Look at how they close. And then look for now the little stuff, pauses, the intention of the pause. What are they intending? How do you feel? Are you hearing their message? Or are you seeing their message? Are you feeling their message? Really like kind of give yourself up to that message and just really see what's happening to your body instead of just learning and taking notes. Notes are great, but guess what? When we take notes, we're using what part of our body? Our brain, right? We're using our brain. If we use our brain, there is a direct cutoff right here. We cannot feel it with our heart or with our soul. Mm-mm. It's when we put down our pens and pencils. Think about it. You take notes, and then all of a sudden a story comes, and what do? You put down your pencil and your pen, and you just listen. And that's when you start to feel, you start to see, you start to visualize, and then you start to feel it. What if you could put down your pen the whole time? I know when Tommy talks, we don't pick up a pen because he's not talking like he's teaching us, although he is, right? Because he's teaching this right in here. So think about that. I quit, believe it or not, even though I teach it, I quit doing handouts for that very reason. I quit handing out handouts because I want them to feel and see more than I want them to take notes that they're never going to read again. Got it? Right? So if you're ready, see those notes, those handouts are partly for you, right? Just jog your memory, make an acronym and jog your memory. It's for you. And it's for you also because you put your contact name on it. And then they have that paper. It's for you. The handout's for you. It isn't for them. It never was. It never was intended to be for them. So if you're comfortable, if you've studied enough and rehearsed enough, get rid of it. It's a form of a note. Get rid of it. That doesn't mean you don't rehearse. That doesn't mean you don't stick to your own script and stories. It just means you don't give them a handout so that now they can feel you. They can see you. They can create imagery around what you're saying. And perhaps learn and remember your 4 or 5 steps. See, it doesn't matter though. If you're teaching like Jackie's teaching about health and take, the 12, colors of the rainbow, they're going to remember whatever they remember anyway. Because honestly, they're not going to look at your notes again. I'm sorry, but they're going to throw them away. Why do I know that? Because we all do it. We're all human. Or you're going to save notes up in a notebook like I do. Never to open the notebook. Some good stuff up here. It'd make me a millionaire if I would just open it and look at it. Right? How many are you with me? Yeah. So just change it up. It's time to change now and just go to the next level of speaking, which is get rid of the note yourself and stick to the script, but stick to the script in a way that takes it from here to here and then the soul. And that's when you will win every time. And that's when they will remember the feeling that they had because no one remembers the content anyway. And if they do, it's 25% of it that they remember. But they will always remember how they felt. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. So here's a little quick formula for you to remember everything we just said. The formula for dynamic delivery is energy plus emotion plus pause plus your story, right? And again, feeling that story. And all of that equals either power, you can say powerful speaking or dynamic speaking. All right. So now you got the formula. All righty.
Can you
Are
repeat that one more time, Arvee?
you bet. So it's energy, emotion, pauses, and story. And actually, we should put one more in there, which is um, the vocal variety. So we'll say energy, pauses, energy, emotion, vocal variety, pauses, and story. Those five. And that's what we talked about tonight. Yeah, and that's the formula.
What's the title of number 6?
Number 6. Who has number 6? Who took notes?
Dynamic voice.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's like vocal variety.
I thought 6 was record yourself so you can evaluate.
Oh, then that's it. 6 is record yourself.
Oh, okay, so that was the title. Okay.
I was just seeing if you're taking good notes.
That's
Okay.
But
All
then
right.
we
So
won't be engaged.
that's right. So any questions or comments? Or have you been doing some of this? Was this helpful?
on point 6, record yourself. So at my event, it was recorded, videotaped. So it wasn't just audio, but visual too. And what I wasn't aware that I was doing, I was doing a little bit of rocking back and forth.
Oh,
Um, Too much, too much. I thought if I were watching myself, I'd get seasick.
got it. Yeah, that's good. See, now after watching you, and I probably saw that, but again, your message was so powerful that I didn't remember it. And that's the beauty of a powerful dynamic message. I just remember your message, right? And how I felt and how everybody reacted, how the audience reacted. So I don't remember the rocking.
Mm.
So that's a good thing. See, this can overcome any, any distraction habit that you might have as well. Good. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad. But again, you don't want to rock because that could
No.
distract somebody from even listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got a comment or want to share? Yes, Jackie.
Yeah, there's a gentleman in my referral group who every time he gets up to speak and say anything, he always goes like this first. And I get so distracted. I'm sort of torn if I should just say, Don, and he's a pastor. And every time he does that, I look at his hands and I go, should I say something to him or shouldn't I? Because it's very distracting.
I think you should privately by himself just ask him, do you know that you do that every time? And just let him know, I find it distracting. I've heard you speak several times and it's distracting. I
He's
mean,
a dynamic speaker too, which is just like, but I check out every time I see him. He looks like he's washing his hands.
yeah. Or going, ooh, I'm going to get you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always record myself.
Oh, good.
Um, but I listen to myself when I walk. I have a really big speech coming up. And so when I'm walking, I'll practice my speech, but then I'll listen to my speech. So it's
Oh,
just a good way to put that material into my head. But the videotaping was kind of new information for me. So that was good. Thank you.
yeah. And you all know, I mean, this probably way beyond this, but you can use your Zoom account to videotape yourself, right? And just stand up. Okay. It's not like yet. I mean, you could do it on your phone, obviously, too, but you can also, do it and send it to somebody. And sometimes the phone, if it's too long for you to send to somebody, you know. So anyway, good. Okay. Anybody else?
This is like 30 years ago. I was trying to generate clients for my psychology practice, and I had no speech training or anything. So I was speaking before a church group, and a guy came up to me afterwards and said, I thought you had some good things to say, but he said, your hands were in your pocket, uh, and I had coins in my pocket, and I was like,
Yeah.
so, so people could hear coins during my talk. And I was not even aware I was doing that. I was extremely nervous. I remember that
Right.
because I didn't have training, and so training does help the nerves, but I had no training, and it was, yeah.
Did you get any clients?
You know, I don't think I did immediately from that talk. Maybe down the road, possibly. I'm not aware of getting any clients from that talk.
Just
Right.
experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've all seen things like that. That's a notorious one for men. So um, a lot of guys will stitch up their pockets so that they don't stick their hands in them, if they have that habit. But I mean, I remember when I was in college that long ago, before I was even a public speaking coach, I saw a girl, we all had to do presentations in college of some sort. And she was scratching her leg the entire time. She would talk and then scratch and talk and then scratch. And at the end of her speech, I asked her, because it was a big distraction for me. And I just asked her, I said, did you know that you scratched your leg like after every sentence or something? And she's like, no. So being aware helps. And just like the woman came up to me and said, I said, okay, after every sentence, I was not aware. They are nervous habits. Um, and I might have, I didn't record myself. If it's a habit that you do and you record yourself or watch yourself, you're going to see it, right? But back in those days, we did not have recording devices. We did not have phones. We did not have Zoom. We did not have any of it. We had little cassette players probably, but I didn't even think of recording myself. So for her to tell me that, that's what got me here today because I was humiliated and I decided that was not going to happen to me again. I was going to master this. I was going to do everything I could, take every class I could, and become better because I was really felt embarrassed that happened, even though it was her and I privately talking. I thought, oh, all those people that heard me, and all the times I spoke, oh my God, I'm horrible, because I was really young. I was like beating myself up. So, but use the tools that are available today and be better. Or again, do your speech in front of me, and I will tell you if I see your speech out and about in the world, and you don't ask me for feedback, I won't give it to you. I will not, even as my student, so you have to ask. Okay? But be careful who you ask. If you ask a bunch of people, you're going to get a bunch of different ideas, right? Never ask for evaluation unless it's from someone that's coached you, right? I don't ask anybody about my fitness training except for my coaches because everybody will have a different opinion, right? And what I should eat, when I should eat, what should I do, this and that. So I just rely on my coaches to tell me, and that's it. So, and that's what you do. I'm here for you, but you have to ask because otherwise, it's unsolicited. I want you to be in your moment, and I want you to feel great. So I'll just say, "Great job." And usually, if I'm in the audience, I'm not really dissecting. I'm not looking at it. What'd you do wrong, Tommy? I'm not. I'm just there enjoying it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But if you want me to, to tell me ahead of time, right? Oh, Caldine's late. She's probably didn't know about the setting the clocks back. Ah, don't they do that in her state? Yeah, they do, right? They do it around the world, right? Or is it only California?
Not in Arizona. That's the only one
Not
I
in
think.
Arizona,
Oh,
right? Caldine, did you set back your clock or is it set back? No, spring forward your clock?
I
Okay.
just was busy doing something.
Okay.
So I just saw the reminder. So I apologize.
No worries. I was just worried that you were coming in thinking it was 4 and it's 5. We're just wrapping up. Okay, good. Well, then look at the recording tomorrow morning because it's worth it. I do want to share with you all.
Okay.
I won't be here next week. I am taking um, next week off. Going out to Palm Springs, so I won't be here. It'll be too hard. I've tried to do calls like in Hawaii and stuff when I'm on vacation, and it's just too hard.
Hmm.
I'm not going to do that. So you get a week off. Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
vacation or are you,
Right.
are you on a vacation or doing some kind of competition?
Need more vacation, not a competition. More well, Don and I are going to Boracay in April. So we're going to be gone all month. I want to get a little start on my suntan.
So when are we not having the call?
What?
Did you say when we were not having a call?
We're not having a call next week.
Next week.
Next week. And then all of the April, we're not having calls.
And I won't be here the last week of March.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, usually I'll tell you what we normally do on March 17th. Is anybody, you've all been with me for a while, right? Do you remember? What do we usually do on March 17th?
Limericks.
St. Patty's Day.
We do limericks. We wear green and we do limericks, and it is so much fun. So next week you can go to the archives and look up limericks, and you'll learn how to do a limericks. They're really, really fun. There once was a gal named Jill. She ran down the hill. I mean, I'm not going to make it up now, but they're just a lot of fun. There's like a formula to them, and they're a lot of fun. So if you go and learn it now, then you can be the life of the party at your St. Patty's Day party as you drink beer and have fun, or just your family. All right, so that's your assignment for next week to go and listen to a limerick. There's two or three of them, because we do it every year. So pick the one you like and come back with a limerick for me the following week. That's your homework. Yeah, we'll see who's got the
Limerick.
best limerick.
Arvee, I'm glad you mentioned don't do handouts. I don't do them when I give talks, but when I preach, I'll usually do a handout. And a lot of pastors do. They'll do these handouts, fill in the blank, but I never thought about it. You're trying to engage the heart and not the head. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's sort of like counterproductive. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. I'm glad. If you got anything out of today, that is worth $1,000,000 right there. Tell me how it goes the next time.
Well, if we're using a acronym, I mean, it seems and the paper that you hand out actually has your information on it rather than just a plain piece of paper. Yes,
Right.
but you would put your information on that paper.
Right. But remember what I said a minute ago? I said that handout is for you, the speaker. You're using it as notes. You glance down. Now the L stands for love, right? Or something like that. And then your contact information is on it. So they have your contact information. But really, if they wanted to contact you, they would find you. Nowadays, with social media, they would ask the organization leader, they would come up to you at the end of the talk and make sure they had your card or your phone. So they would get you. So we don't really have to do that anymore.
Well, we have talked about, obviously in our classes, we talked about, right? Trust. Put that down.
Right. If you are training, I want to be clear. If you are doing a training class, anything an hour or over, please use your notes, and they need notes because it's a learning class. It's a class. But when we're delivering a 15, 20-minute, even 30-minute speech, it's not a class. That can be moved into a feeling now. So you don't need your notes. You don't need to have notes because they were for you. So now that you're an advanced speaker, you don't need them. You know what your acronym is. And as long as you're still clear with your audience, we're going to spell out an acronym. The acronym is LOVE. L stands for leverage or whatever, right? Blah, 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 blah. The O stands for boom, right? You don't need, and they can write notes if they want to, but it's not forced upon them, and they don't have to feel guilty, and then they don't have to feel guilty if they don't do it or do it. They
Okay.
can just be, right? They don't have to go, oh, what was that? Oh, and look at your neighbor. Oh, what was the O again? Right? Because they were busy writing. So it eliminates a lot of distractions that the audience might otherwise have as a result of trying to do a good job by filling in the form.
Hmm.
Yeah, try it. See what you like best. Yes, Jackie.
So would your recommendation be no printed notes for anything less than an hour?
Right. No handouts that you're
No
handing
handouts.
them. Right. If you need a little note on the side or something, go for it, as long as it's not a distraction. But no more do I hand out handouts with an acronym on them. And that gives you some leeway too, because sometimes if I have more time, I might add an S at the end. It might be vegetables instead of vegetable or something. So you can add or you can even take away if you need to. Maybe you had an S, but you don't have time for the S anymore. So you can take away. Gives you more freedom. Yes, Katrina.
It's just thinking about that because you're concentrating on this paper, trying to write notes, and then you miss something, and you're asking your neighbor, and you make them miss it, and so it turns out to be a distraction for sure.
Yes, it certainly can be. Yes. Good. But again, if you're teaching a regular class, you need that kind of thing. They need a notebook. They need a this. The longer the class, the bigger the notebook. you know. So because they're used to it, they need to capture it, and it keeps you on track and them on track.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? We got 5 minutes. All right. Well,
I
you're
was
all
just thinking too, if they don't have a handout, then they're maybe, I don't know if this would be true or not, maybe more apt to come see you afterwards so they can connect with you and get a business card. And that gives you an opportunity to talk to them. Whereas if they have it on a piece of paper, they go, oh, I have it. And then they leave and there it goes. Goodbye.
and then they lose the paper.
Right.
Yes, I
That
agree.
makes sense.
Yeah, get them nowadays. I mean, if I see somebody and they want my number, I'm right away doing this. You know how to do this, right? Everybody know how to do this with an iPhone? Put your iPhones together. Well, if you have an iPhone, you put them together, and then your contact will go into their phone, and their phone contact will come into your phone. And you just hit a button that says share, and
Mm-hmm.
you're golden. And now you have it. Okay. No more need for business cards, no more need for, all of that. Type it in. Here's my phone. Type in your number, which I used to do, you know. So, yeah, it's easier. And then you could take a picture of them if they don't have a picture and,
in there and I can't find where I put the bottle.
What, Claudine? Oh, your
Sorry.
husband. Okay. All right. Anything else before we end our call today? It's going to be 2 weeks till I see you again. Okay. All right. Then I will be at the
Thank you.
CPP meeting, by the way. I'm going to Palm Springs after that. So I'll be in the morning meeting. Don't worry. Packing.
Quick question on calendar. So the last week of March, we will have this, and then all of April, no? Is that correct? Because
Calendar real quick.
March has got the Tuesday's the 31st in March.
Oh, I'll be here both days. So we'll have two more. We'll have the 24th and the 31st.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We're leaving on the 2nd of April. So yeah, there'll be two more passionate speakings before we go to the Philippines.
Fun.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So what is your homework? Do you remember?
Limericks.
Limerick. And then come back next week. And Jackie, you come back on the 31st and give us your limerick. That'll be fun. Oh,
I was hoping to get out of it.
Out of it. Yeah, write something about your marathons or your there once was a girl named Jackie who messed up her elbow, quacky. I don't know. Yeah, something fun.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. And remember, come on, get out and speak. I want to hear about your speaking engagements. And remember, when you do speak, to always speak with passion. Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arvee.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye all.
Bye-bye.